morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy Podcast. Hosted by our headmaster, Jared Bachman Stubbs, you can find all of us here at the Nerd Academy Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com. Our shows, the Nerd Academy Podcast, Knights of the Nerd Republic, and Campus Life are released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, check out our Patreon, where every donation helps to keep the lights on.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy Podcast. For the first time in a hot minute, we are back in house. Black leader, crack that can.
That's a nice little mist come off the top.
It wasn't a very elegant can crack, but it was a can crack nonetheless.
It was way too fluid. Like it broke the seal and then immediately cracked everything. Like,
yeah.
There's no. But that's fine. I still need the caffeine.
Yeah, he needs the caffeine, and I'm looking at the screen right now. It doesn't look like we are gonna have the audio tank during this recording, now that he's cracked a can. So
maybe it was because I was doing it not in house and the soundboard knew, or Cookie Cop knew,
or yeah, one of them knew. One of them knew. We also have the Professor Levi Baum.
Hello, how's it going? So this isn't my usual show, but there's one piece of news that I have the expertise in, so I'm joining you for today.
Yes, you will hear lots of sarcastic while we talk about all the comic book stuff, and then we will get to Levi's story that he will take point on, and you will get to listen to his sexy baritone when we get there. We are going to jump right into our first bit of news here this week. We got our only, not our only, but first bit of Marvel news. Allegedly, Evan Peters, famously played the Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men movies, has been cast in WandaVision, the Disney Plus show that is going to be following, as you probably guessed it, Scarlet Witch and Vision. Going to read from the article hither. Evan Peters reportedly will be appearing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe show WandaVision. Played Quicksilver. If the show is not completely finished, it is definitely deep into production right before the pandemic hit. It was originally scheduled to release in December on Disney Plus. If there's no word yet whether or not it has been moved. Same kind of deal as Falcon and Winter Soldier with that issue. So now that Disney owns Fox and that's basically all one unit, and we know Scarlet Witch is going to be in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and that the MCU is planning on getting really weird. Do we think he's showing up as Foxman Quicksilver?
I can't imagine he's not. Well, I can't imagine he's not.
You want to get a little closer to the mic, buddy?
No. I think that, that would be a really, crazy thing to do. At the very least, they're going to make a joke about the fact that he played Quicksilver in the Fox movies.
Yeah.
But if that's the route they're going, it could be... Because, again, if we're doing the, universes are going to collapse in on themselves and that's how we get mutants, right? It's a way to start explaining the concept of a mutant that isn't based on the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that'd be a cool concept. One of my favorite things about DC is their use of multiverse shenanigans. So I think it'd be neat to see in a franchise that actually knows how to write stories for the most part.
Oof, shot straight across the bow.
As a DC preferred person, I know I know
he's allowed to make these jokes. You cannot cancel Travis for making fun of DC in this way. I think that would be wild. I also think that Evan Peters kind of has garnered that reputation for the guy who plays the weirdo. So with how strange WandaVision is already shaping up to be, I wouldn't be surprised if they cast him in like a character like Arcade, maybe, now that they have access to a character like that. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't, if they shy away from having him just be that version of Quicksilver. But since like it looks like the show is already going to be like toying with multiple realities from that one little sizzle we got during the Super Bowl, or the Superb Owl, the big game, because that's technically copyrighted and you can't say the name of that big football game. Places.
No, it's just a really big bowl of cereal.
It's just a big bowl of soup. Yeah. Oh my god.
I have a funny story about a misinterpretation of bowls whenever we're done.
Okay. I like where that's going.
It involves the song Bulls on Parade.
Oh, I am so excited for this. I am nothing if not fascinated by that. I think this is really interesting. Again, you know, this could be your usual comic book movie rumor that goes absolutely freaking nowhere. You know, those are a dime a dozen, but very interesting stuff, and I am looking forward to seeing where that pans out. Travis, I have to give you this story.
He's back, and he might be staying back. J. Jonah Jameson talked to some people about whether or not he'd be returning again as J.K. Simmons. And
so you said it that way intentionally.
I thought J.K. Simmons was a real person. I'm not the expert here, but I thought...
I have had a long weekend, a fun weekend, but a long weekend of hardly any sleep.
J.K. Simmons
is
right.
Yes,
I think he's the one who
the
did
actor,
those
the Oscar-winning actor.
Those exercises.
No, that's Richard Simmons.
That's Richard Simmons. Okay,
Yeah. Okay,
J.K.
so-
Simmons is an actor, still a real person.
Yeah,
Still a real actor. Oh,
Okay.
that was fun. We all had a good time there. Levi
I
gets
am
more points
sleepy.
for still saying two real people.
J.K. Simmons, who played J. Jonah Jameson in the Raimi films and in a cameo in Far From Home, talked with people about his possible return in future MCU Spider-Man movies, basically confirming that he signed on to do sequels, but it's up to the studio if they want to bring him back. So I can't imagine they won't,
Yeah,
right? Like, especially with the role they put J. Jonah Jameson in the MCU.
Yeah, MCU Alex Jones.
Yeah, like it's too perfect, especially because like we know Scorpion's there, and you know, usually I almost did it again. Jay is usually the one that gets Scorpion his powers in some or suit in some capacity.
Yeah.
right. So that could become a factor.
I mean, especially seeing that the MCU's starting to shy away from like the rule of trilogies. And like, I mean, Disney
Yeah.
as a whole, because they even said that like they're not going to confine Star Wars to trilogies anymore necessarily. I like the idea that the Spider-Man movies may actually have a chance to breathe and be able to like do whatever they're going to do in the third movie to wrap up what happens with Mysterio. You know, all of the powers that be willing that the deal holds together after that and after one more Avengers movie. To potentially see the Jameson Scorpion origins and stuff like that, that you may not necessarily have a room for in however they tell the story of Peter fighting for his innocence in the wake of the Mysterio hoax. But yeah, I'm so excited for this. The excitement in the room whenever this broke was unparalleled, and
You and I were screaming. I think I almost snapped off the armrest of the chair in the theater.
Yes.
Like it.
And you know the theater experiencing Far From Home, like it started strong and it ended strong. We started with I Need You to Unbird Me, and we ended with JK back as JJ.
And somewhere in there we got I'm Trying My Best, Julius.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle there. Far From Home is a treasure trove of memes that has largely gone untapped. Moving right along, Travis, do you want to talk about Soups?
I guess I will.
That's kind of your boy.
He's kind of my boy. So, according our articles from Deadline, but I've seen this everywhere.
Yeah.
We almost talked about it. We almost like took a brief minute in the beginning of the Avatar retrospective to talk about this, and then we were
Yes.
like, we'll be here for half an hour. There's no point. Cavill may be in talks to return as Superman in the DCEU because now that the Snyder Cut is happening, apparently that's like we're back in action with that. There are no films in talks of being made, but everyone's saying that he's talking about doing it again with people that matter. Even though there's been no right, like there's no names in this article. It's just Henry Cavill is in talks to reprise his role as Superman. That's all we got.
Yeah.
And knowing Warner Brothers and DC, this is all we'll have until like all of a sudden there's promo material. But
yeah. Or there'll just be a horribly toxic internet campaign that'll kick up.
Right.
We'll just have to suffer through that for a while. I'm excited by this. I
wanted to see him. So I said this about Cavill for a long time. I want him to be in something that I'm interested in and that is good.
Okay.
Right? Like, he was in Mission Impossible, which was really good, and he was really good in it, but I don't give a shit about Mission Impossible. And he was in The Witcher, which was really good, and he was really good in it, and I don't give a shit about The Witcher. But he was in the Superman and DC movies. I hit the spring.
It's your turn to hit stuff now.
Right, he's in these movies where he's playing one of my favorite comic book characters, and they're not great, right? Like, and that's not his fault. But we have proof, right? Like the few lines we get from the weed and stuff, we have proof he can be like the Clark Kent I want him to be. So, I have hopes, especially if we get like, J.J. Abrams. Too many J names today. Too many J names and not enough sleep. Right? If rumors end up coming true and he directs a Superman movie. Oh, you just okay.
That was mic 3 that was turned up for no reason.
Yeah, I was like, did you just turn me off? What the fuck?
My right ear is suddenly
no longer
healthy again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that would be the ultimate spite move if any of you just say anything I disagree with. Just kill your mic while you're talking.
right.
I'm just gonna Oscar music you guys out of the show.
I'm surprised Joel's never done that before.
Honestly, I and we've said it, and now he has the idea, and this is going to become a regular occurrence.
But yeah, man, JJ is kind of a controversial director right now after Rise of Skywalker, but I like his style still. He makes very serviceable movies for what that's worth, when they're not chopped up to shit. And I think he can make a fun Superman movie that I'd enjoy more than Man of Steel.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I would like to see, I mean, quite frankly, I'd like to see Joss Whedon take a swing at Superman.
Regardless,
Yeah, like, I just want to see somebody whose outlook on these characters is less grimdark.
Yeah.
I don't think that grimdark is necessarily bad. Like, you and I had that conversation, I think it was during the Justice League Apocalypse War review, where like grimdark doesn't necessarily equal bad. It's all in the execution.
Right.
And it's like, it's hard to explain, but there's a reason why BVS is objectively not great, and there's a reason why The Dark Knight is objectively really good. Mm-hmm. And even though they both kind of try to tackle the same tone, that doesn't necessarily amount to much.
But the other thing we're not considering, first of all, this could literally just mean reshoots for the Snyder Cut.
Well, no, they've confirmed that the only things that any of the cast are doing for the Snyder Cut is all vocal work.
Okay.
So it's all going to be ADR.
Okay. See, I've kind of been like avoiding the Snyder Cut stuff just to like keep sane.
Oh, you sweet thing.
Yeah, right. I had some distractions this weekend, so that was nice.
Did you know I infiltrated some Snyder Cut Facebook groups now?
We have so much to talk about later.
I fell off the wagon. I'm back to
on your bullshit.
I'm back to joining horrible nerd Facebook groups just because I like to know what the other side is like.
Yeah. Well, if that's out, then the other thing they have to consider is like what cut of Justice League will be canon to whatever Henry Cavill shows up in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what... Again, this is why I would rather just see him in... And that's going to be weird, because then, do you recast everyone but Henry Cavill? Is it...
It's the same issue with Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, the Joker is a part of this universe. Obviously, he is. If Harley Quinn and Batman exist, well, we're going to show him from the back, and there's going to be, like, a brief glimpse of him in a flashback. And like by the looks of him, whenever he's in the movie, it's clearly meant to look like Jared Leto.
Yeah.
But the little animation in the beginning is basically Mark Hamill, in that very BTAS look. So there's so many things going on with these DC movies that I'd be very curious as to what they would do with the Superman flick, because a lot of the stuff that they've done so far in the wake of everything kind of falling apart at the seams has all been kind of like out of kind of in the periphery of that universe.
Yeah,
you know, like you have Aquaman that directly references the events of
Justice League.
Whenever Mara talks about, oh, you fought Steppenwolf. You have
And apparently Darkseid too.
and apparently Darkseid. And you have with Shazam, like, you have like the headline in the one kid's room that's like Superman has returned, and the bullet and like all of the symbols of the characters that show up in that movie are the Justice League symbols. Like you have you have the thick boy bat symbol. You have that, like all of that stuff is still how it's meant to be in this universe, including like the Superman we see, even though we don't see his face. It's Cavill's suit, and again, like we mentioned, Birds of Prey. So I would be very curious as to how this like weirdly tenuous, we're not going to call attention to the fact that the two big superheroes kind of are just, we don't know what's happening with them. And if they try to somehow, roll Pattinson into all this and they just go, yep, he's our Batman. Forget Batfleck ever happened.
Yep. Speaking of, Batman's picked up filming again, Jared.
Yes. Some movies, I think it's mostly Warner Brothers stuff actually, is all back on schedule in the UK. Matt Reeves' The Batman, this is from Forbes. Matt Reeves' The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, is set to restart filming in the UK after a comprehensive set of guidelines was approved by the DCMS, the Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport. The guidelines, as reported prior, the British Film Commission and the British Film Institute developed the protocols in conjunction with the most up-to-date government guidelines. New measures introduced include physical distancing, frequent tests of individuals on set, and mandatory safety training. A number of UK productions were forced to shut down in March due to coronavirus and the subsequent lockdown that was enforced. This would include The Batman, the next Fantastic Beasts movie. Those are the only ones listed here, but again, all Warner Brothers stuff and big tentpole names. But yeah,
Fantastic Beast movie.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's Harry Potter prequels.
Oh.
Yeah, those movies where they had one okay one and one very not okay one.
They're fun. They're cute.
Yeah.
The animals are really cute.
Right.
I heard the second one was like really
we were
bad,
talking
though.
about like a DC or whatever.
No.
Okay. All right.
The second one is so bad.
That's
Like it's one of those, like, when you're in the theater watching it,
you want to convince yourself it's good.
it's not even necessarily that. It's one of those situations where like the performances save it while you're watching it.
And then you think about it afterwards.
But once you think about it for like more than 5 minutes, when you get home, you're like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah, I remember watching Cosmonaut Variety Hour's video on it, and just like the sweet blonde that can read minds became a wizard Nazi somehow.
Yeah.
If only I was exaggerating.
Wow.
If only you could have seen Levi's face. That would have been my new, like, most frequently used GIF ever. Just the head shake. What? Yeah, but and that's another thing is like both with the DCEU and with Fantastic Beasts, the fuck are you doing with Ezra Miller? Like, where's that going?
The world may never know.
Because we all just kind of stopped talking about Ezra Miller choke slamming a woman, like that just kind of dissipated whenever the world caught on fire.
Sure did. Moving on.
It sure did.
Before I make a joke, I'll regret. Moving on.
Okay, we're gonna stop that from happening.
Speaking of jokes that we shouldn't be making, I am on a fucking roll with these transitions. Not with talking though. What are you?
I'm waiting for you to make the joke you shouldn't make.
I'm not. No, we're moving on. I'm moving on to the next story. I'll tell you.
I have my hand on the knob, ready to kill Travis's mic.
I'll tell you when you're older.
I'll tell you when you're older.
Do we normally say jokes we shouldn't make?
No.
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 Okay.
But we live in troubled times, Levi.
I'll tell you after.
I'll tell you when you're older. So we got unfortunate news literally this morning on Monday that Hartley Sawyer will be leaving The Flash, and by that I mean he got canned. I'm just going to read the quote given to Deadline by Warner Brothers TV, the CW, Berlanti Productions, and executive producer Eric Wallace. Hartley Sawyer will not be returning for Season 7 of The Flash. In regard to Mr. Sawyer's posts on social media, we do not tolerate derogatory remarks that target any race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, or sexual orientation. Such remarks are antithetical to our values and policies, which strive and evolve to promote a safe, inclusive, and productive environment for our workplace. You might be wondering what those social media posts are. Well, like a bunch of people who got on Twitter and then didn't know what to do but make really awful not jokes back in like 2012-ish time. I think the tweets that people found were between 2012 and 2014.
Yeah.
Hartley has made some not okay tweets that we won't read into the microphone.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable reading any of them. You can find them if you like. They exist in the ether.
Yeah. His Twitter is deleted, but they exist in screenshot form. So Sawyer his Instagram is still active though, and he made a statement on Instagram that was just like, hey, I screwed up. Thank you for keeping me accountable. This was the right move by all parties. I hope to show you that I've grown past that though. You know, like the usual stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the only other person, in fact, I might just check Instagram while I'm talking about this, but as of this exact moment, the only other person I've seen make a statement is Grant Gustin himself, also saying that he's just incredibly disappointed. And yeah, okay, so it's still just Grant. He's, disappointed by Sawyer's posts and is upset by the news. Having followed Sawyer myself, following like most of the CW cast on Instagram, he like doesn't seem to be that way anymore, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't excuse what he said, obviously, but he knows that. And also in all of the posts, they have hashtag Black Lives Matter. So I guess this was like someone pointed this out to them after everything that's been happening in the country in the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
And they took action, which I'm kind of torn on in that way of like he's clearly grown past this, but also he said some fucked up shit. Yeah,
here's my thing with it, and one of the biggest reasons why I kind of went to bat for James Gunn, and there have been the huge comparisons between this situation and the James Gunn situation, was that those older tweets that James Gunn had made, vile and gross as they were only dug up by like alt-right trolls. Like that was like a deliberate move to like that was a swing by people who didn't care about what James Gunn had to say.
But it was a shot at Disney.
It was a shot at Disney, and it was like, oh hey, here's one of your SJWs on the front lines. We're gonna like dogpile James Gunn, and now we're gonna put you in a situation where you have to let go one of your best directors. Here, it's people who are legitimately doing some advocacy and trying to be like, hey, this is a thing. Y'all might want to address this. especially now while we're having like important conversations
Yeah.
about race right now. And the fact that this was not some inorganic, swing at the other guy is why I take less issue with it. I also recognize that, like you said, his Twitter got deleted. Like, I don't know how you don't like recognize. I should get rid of this. Like, especially like you get booked by Warner Brothers to be on one of like the biggest TV shows on right now. In a show about one of the biggest superheroes of all time that has so much popularity around it. It's kind of on you to make sure your house is in order at that point. And I commend him on that front of like, I'm glad he's not done the
Cancel culture.
He hasn't done the cancel culture rant, which if I hear one more white dude complain that they're getting canceled after saying some like really weird and gross shit, and now, like you said, it was non-jokes. Like,
yeah, and that's his words. Like, this was an attempt at humor. It wasn't even like these were bad jokes. He was like, I was trying to be funny, and clearly I was not being funny, but I at the time didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Over the coming days, because we looked at the James Gunn situation where the entire production team and cast went, no, we want him back, please.
Yeah.
And the reactions from the people around him will be very telling, I think.
Yeah. Well,
which we don't have right now.
And I think what this really relies on, and I'm not necessarily going to say that it, it's on the shoulders of the women on the cast of Flash to go to bat for him, but if they were to, that is his only saving grace of how flagrantly misogynistic a lot of those tweets were. Like, and I only read a couple of them, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
And then kind of put it away. So I don't know if there were any, you said there were some Black Lives Matter tags on it, so clearly there must have been some race non-jokes in there, too.
Every headline has a different pairing of, homophobic, misogynistic, and racist.
And the ones I read were, the ones that were more on the sexist side, because I just, I found one collection of screenshots.
All the articles are just cycling those three words and picking two of them.
Yeah, but that, again, it's the lowest hanging fruit that exists, is to just take pot shots, people of color, women, and LGBTQ community. Like, there are all these timeless jokes that wrote themselves that have all become so passe. It's whatever. But I think if the women of that team, of that cast, were to go to bat for him, that might be what gets you a step closer to that James Gunn situation.
Yeah.
But that is all dependent, and I think, on how a diverse fan base reacts to this. I think if the fan base kind of collectively goes, yeah, we can live without that, that's one thing. And then and I think that's the biggest difference in the James Gunn situation, is that it didn't come from a good place, and James Gunn has put his money where his mouth was on an advocacy level. He's donated. He has raised awareness. He has done all those things.
To be fair, so is Hartley, though.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
okay,
his whole Instagram persona prior to everything that's recently it's been Black Lives Matter supporting protesters. Before that, it was his whole Instagram was just helping dog adoption, right? Which isn't quite the same, but he's still he has a cause he's devoted to, and he is very inclusive in the posts he makes now. And again, I'm not trying to wave off things that he said. It was disgusting and gross, and they still made the right call. If people come out and they're like, he's still never really owned up to this until now, and now that he has, he can, And
that was another difference with the James Gunn situation. Is James Gunn in the before all hell broke loose went, oh, by the way, none of this was funny, and he went through his own genesis of hey, I don't like this thing I said, and then it came back again when and that's the other thing, is he hasn't owned up to it until he was forced to.
But yeah, that's going to be weird. I haven't finished the most recent season of Flash, but one of the main plot threads was Ralph Dibny finding his wife, his important named character wife from the comics, Sue Dearborn. So that's going to be interesting how they probably resolved that plot thread and now have to write him off the show.
Or recast him.
I don't like that. I mean, he's been on the show for 2 seasons now, so personally, I think that would be kind of weird. Not weird in the like, oh, that's throwing shade at him. Like, that doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
like, it would just be strange to me to see somebody else in that role. Personally,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I don't know. I've never had like an issue with like the recasts and stuff. If anything, I find it fascinating, especially like when you look back on like the history of television. Like you have Becky on Roseanne, where like the actor changed week to week because the actress was going to college. And like they even like broke the fourth wall in an episode once where the little brother, he was like, "You're the wrong Becky," and like called attention to it. Or
Yeah.
like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like the back chunk of that whole show, they recast Aunt Viv because the original actress was like really pissed about her pay rate. So I don't know. I normally find that kind of shit kind of fascinating whenever they recast somebody during the run of a TV show. But bringing up the tail end of the episode, we're gonna shut up because it's Levi's turn to talk about.
Are we
this
done
stuff.
already?
Yeah,
thought
it
we
said
had
it was
more.
a light week.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't light. We just actually stayed on topic for once.
Yeah. There's also,
Wow.
yeah, there's also not a whole. That's also not like a whole lot of news we can really gnaw on either.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to speak now?
You do the
Okay.
speaks.
Talk about LOL.
Sure. All right. So, I guess I'm covering the gaming portion of
Yes.
this show right now. So, a lot of you have probably heard of the game League of Legends. So it is a PC game. It's a MOBA, multiplayer online battle arena. Okay, 5v5, that sort of game, aerial view. Yeah, biggest game ever. It is now moving to mobile and console. Riot Games this is their latest project. This itself isn't really new news, but the alpha testing for the mobile version has started in the Philippines and I believe Brazil as well.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and then the shift to console will come soon after. They're trying to get the mobile formally launched toward the end of 2020. Now, for those of you who are interested in trying this new version out, it's called League of Legends Wild Rift. There's a page on it on the League of Legends website, but an article on PocketGamer.com written by Stephen Gregson Wood. Right, that's how you pronounce that.
Complete loser. Yeah, just
Okay.
weird pronunciation things.
Right. Yeah. He
Not funny.
Very funny.
So he actually compiled an article with the 40 confirmed champions that they are putting in this Wild Rift version.
Lay it on me.
All right, now keep in mind there are 148 champions in the PC version. These new versions are going to be watered down quite a bit, and they're starting with 40. So let me pull up the list here on the other tab. And then he compiled them in the roles that these champions play as well. And he started with the junglers. Now, for those of you unaware of League of Legends and how the map works, there are 3 lanes that the champions go to, the players. You're supposed to win your lane, basically destroy the enemy turrets, eventually destroy their base. And in between these lanes is jungle. These are these neutral monster camps that you can kill, get some gold, get some experience to level up. And a few champions are specialized in that.
Yeah.
And then they go and assist other lanes as well, trying to get more kills and help their team along. So there are 7 junglers. Master Yi is probably the most common one. Even some non-League of Legends players have heard of him. Very easy. I think that's a good choice for them. And others of note are Olaf, who is currently destroying the meta game right now in the PC version.
Cute little snowman voiced by Josh Gad. Yeah.
Giant angry Viking.
Also voiced by Josh Gad.
Down.
Yeah. Also voiced by Josh Gad.
And
He likes warm hugs.
and Xin Zhao, who is my favorite jungler on this list. The others are Vi, Graves, Gragas, and Shyvana. So, yeah, very, very interesting choices for jungle. A few good choices. All right. The second portion of these champions are the top laners. Top lane, if you start League of Legends going into the top lane, you are forged in the fire. It is a terrible place to be, but unfortunately, the champions that struck my fancy when I got into it were top laners, so I had a terrible, terrible time.
I love Levi's humble brag just at the top there. He's like, when I got into the game, I kind of like picked the hardest way to play it out the gate. Just saying.
Jungle also sucks. Because if your team does bad and ends up losing, you get the flame. Because in reality, the jungler, it's your choices. You can win or lose the game based on your choices and how they end up. But that's for another time. Top laner, we have Garen, Fiora, Camille, Nasus, Jax, Malphite, Tryndamere, Teemo, and Dr. Mundo. Some very... Yeah, these are staples, I would say. Garen, spin to win. That's what we call him in the league community. He has an ability where he just takes his giant-ass sword and swings around shouting, Demacia! Because that's where he comes from. And it's so stupid.
That's at 35:27, so that Joel can soundbite that. And we didn't do timestamps because we all suck and we haven't done an actual news episode in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joel. I'm so sorry.
Big sorry.
Fiora, she is one of my least favorite champions because she does something called true damage, which shouldn't be in the game. So there are two main types of damage.
I know where this is going because I think the Galaxy of Heroes is the same thing with Droidica.
AD, which is attack damage or physical damage, and AP, ability power or magic damage. You can build armor, which resists physical damage, and you can build magic resist, which resists magic damage. There's no resistance for true damage. And Fiora does percentage max health true damage.
But Droidica does the same thing in Galaxy of Heroes, where like he ignores your armor, and he can't critically hit, but he ignores armor directly and just it's all max. It's percent health.
It is true damage and not false damage, therefore it must hit.
I guess. Yeah, because her
one more
Q,
joke like that, we're taking you off of the website.
Her Q ability, her first ability, has this massive area of effect that like prioritizes things she can kill or like champions, and so like she doesn't even have to be spot on. She can just be near you, and she does this true damage. I think it's stupid, but that's just because I don't play her. Okay, and so Nasus is a staple. Teemo is the most tiltable champion.
Yeah.
So in other words, everybody hates him, and that's like his hidden ability. He has a global taunt that makes people play more aggressive than they should. It's just an unofficial thing because he's been there for so long. So that'll be interesting. He and Dr. Mundo, along with two champions, are actually not in the alpha test right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now for the mobile and the console versions, they do have to like water it down and change the gameplay, obviously, because you don't have a keyboard and mouse. You have
the
joysticks and a few buttons.
Yeah. So is this lineup and roster? This is what's going to be on the console version as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Okay. Because once it comes to console, I'm going to start playing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it a shot.
Oh, you poor soul.
I am cautiously hopeful for this because the PC League community is toxic. So hopefully League of Legends gets a new start with a new fan base. And I will be helping some of my friends get into it because they don't have a PC that can run it. So I'm looking to buy an Xbox One for cheap, and it is free to play. It's free to play.
It is free to play.
Yeah, and it is never play, or rather pay to win.
Anything
not.
you pay for is cosmetic. I can't talk. Yeah, my old roommate plays a lot of League, So
Oh, okay, cool.
The one thing
Galaxy
that
of
could
Heroes
be,
can't relate to not being pay to win. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't relate to that.
the one thing I could argue that is kind of play to win is something called rune pages, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
Okay.
So you can make custom rune pages, but you
Okay.
have to pay to get custom rune pages. They only give you 2 for free. So going into the mid lane, right, mid lane is, I should have explained this earlier. So the junglers, they are your people who gank lanes, and try to propel the game toward
Yeah.
their side. They try to pick up momentum. Top laners are usually bruisers, right? They're kind of bulky. They get in all in your face. They
Thick boys.
tanks, so they kind of try and kite the damage away from the rest of the team so that they can do their thing. Mid laners traditionally are either battle mages or ranged mages or AD assassins.
Okay.
So here we have
Travis,
Ahri.
you said assassin, take note.
Yeah. Ahri, Lux. So those 2 right away are some of the best-selling, most lucrative champions for Riot and League of Legends. They have like 500,000 skins. Not literally, but it just feels that way.
it's actually more than 500,000.
Yeah. Lux, you've probably seen around.
That
She's
name sounds familiar.
She's the unofficial poster girl for League of Legends, and then Teemo is actually the ironic poster child, just because he became a meme within the community. But aside from them, you have Annie, who I've seen in the bot lane more than mid, but that's just me. Aurelion Sol, Orianna, Fizz, Twisted Fate, Zed, Yasuo, fuck Yasuo, Ziggs, and Diana. Screw Yasuo. I don't think they should have chosen him personally, but he is very popular. He's very polarizing. The Yasuo on the enemy team is always like 11-0, 10 minutes in, and then yours is like just
Eating a
just
brick.
terrible.
Eating a brick.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So
By choice, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course.
These are all generally good picks, and again, with the edits they have to make to the gameplay, some of the less fortunate ones in the current meta can become relevant again, like Ziggs. You really don't see him in the mid lane anymore. He goes in the bot lane as like a cheese pick.
Is that Scary's Scarecrow Man?
That is Fiddlesticks,
Fiddlesticks.
who I do not think is in here.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because you've talked such a big game about Fiddlesticks.
Oh yeah, I think I did
for it.
cover
You
Fiddlesticks
did.
earlier, didn't I?
You have covered
Yeah,
Fiddlesticks.
he's scary now. He's actually scary now. Before he was Faddlestacks. That was what I called him.
Faddlestacks.
Yeah, derpy little scarecrow. That's pretty much his old lore. But now he's Fiddlesticks, end of men. Fiddlesticks, first of 10. It's like the most ancient demon or whatever he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Fizz is another popular pick for the mid lane. So yeah, I think they're doing a good job at choosing. Fourth role is ADC, attack damage carries. So this is the bot lane now, the bottom lane. You have 2 champions per team. You have your AD carry and the support in the bot lane. The support's job is to get your AD carry fed. The ADC's job is to not freaking die. And they have such a hard time understanding that. And then they blame the support because they're idiots. So just keep in mind when you pick this up, don't be an idiot, basically. So we have some good picks here as well. Misfortune, Jhin, Ezreal, who is the most played champion. I don't like him, but
That's just Levi's a hipster like that.
yeah. No, it's just because it's the pattern, Any one of these polarizing champions, if they're on your team, they suck, and if they're on the enemy team, they're gods. Jinx is another one. She is basically Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Every League of Legends champion is pretty much a parody or based off of something else. So Jinx is the crazy woman. Colorful.
To say this was a clown aesthetic there, I'm sure.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Jinx. Vayne, who is like a vampire hunter. They don't actually have vampires or hemomancers or whatever. They're vampires. Who cares? Who cares about the League of Legends lore anyway? Ashe, who is Cold Lady, who still wears a skirt for some reason, and Varus. Varus is like a Darkin, something about a weapon. I think he's 2 gay men forged into one. Like, I think that's actually his lore.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are all good picks as well. Miss Fortune has been in the game for a long time. She's actually one of the champions you can start out with in the PC version. So pretty easy to grasp. Vayne is a scaling...
I'm just super into the Vampire Hunter. Like, I already know who I'm playing as since I started playing this.
Oh, boy. So here's the thing. It is free to play, but I'm pretty sure all champions will not be accessible. You will have to earn them. And you can for free with like in-game currency or leveling up. I don't know how they're going to handle that in these new versions.
Okay.
I don't think Vayne is going to be one you can pick up right away. That's just my prediction. And then the final role is support, and we have some classics here. We got Blitzcrank, who is just a robot with really long arms, and he can go zhoo and pull you in, and then you get your bum clapped. And there's Soraka, who is honestly the only true healer in League of Legends. There are a couple other supports who do have healing abilities, but she has a global heal and then a normal heal. She's annoying. Janna, who is Wind Lady, run fast. Nami, fish mermaid on land who can wear boots for some reason. Braum is here for you. Braum's from the Freljord, just like Ashe, who was the cold ice lady who wears a skirt. Braum doesn't wear a shirt. So
the cold
they're
doesn't bother
weird.
them anyway.
No. And then Alistair, who is a purple bipedal bull who hasn't been very good, at least in my level, which isn't very high. I'm actually pretty bad at the game. Yeah, so those are your champions. I think Blitzcrank is my favorite support, unironically. Because if you land that pole, if you land that and then you pull them in.
Sorry, can I get that one more time?
And then you pull them in.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right now, there's a limited time mode out on the PC called Earth Ultra Rapid Fire. Been playing that a long time. And my favorite one to pick in this version, because your cooldowns are always real low, is actually Braum. He got his big ass shield, which actually isn't a shield, it's a door. I don't know how he got the door, because I'm not real into the lore, but it's a big iron door. That's his shield. Only 2 champions have shields. One is Pantheon, who is not... Oh, the other one isn't in the new versions either. It's Pantheon and Leona. Leona's cool. And she is a support, and then Pantheon's a top laner. So, yeah, Braum doesn't have a shield. He jumps toward you, puts up his shield, and it gets bigger. He's like, Braum is here for you. Stand behind Braum. But in Earth mode, you can use those abilities for yourself. So Braum is here for Braum. And that's how I like to play him. Because if he lands one auto attack, there's something that starts, and if you or your allies land 3 other hits on a champion, they're stunned. Because they're cold and you freeze, and that's the thing, that's their shtick. And there's another champion, Sejuani, who has the same kind of passive or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's from the Freljord as well, which is basically Scandinavia. It's Scandinavia. It's Scandinavia.
Yeah. It's not Scandinavia that like most fantasy worlds have.
No, it's cold, ice. They talk like this. Unless they're the women. Yeah.
All right. I'm here for it.
So,
I'm here for it.
I was going on a tangent. What I'm playing doesn't really matter. So, yeah, if you're interested, look into League of Legends Wild Rift. I put this article and I believe the League of Legends page on our show notes, which will be published. Have yourself a ball, possibly.
Yes, very excited for that. I am looking forward to the console version, and we'll see if League darkens my soul the way it has you and RJ. And see if it turns me into a monster like it did to him.
Oh, Ron. RJ actually quit League.
I don't blame him.
League quit him several times. If memory serves, that man was banned a couple times.
He was perma-banned twice in 2 months, and that's when he decided to call it quits.
That seems like a valid
Again,
consensus.
I feel like the game quit him at that point. I feel like those are one of those situations where like your significant other puts all your shit in a box and puts that box on the front porch. At which point you don't get to say, "Yeah, I broke up with them." Like you don't get that title. Like,
but that's the moment you realize that maybe you should leave the relationship.
yeah, maybe you should leave this where it is. You know, there's nothing wrong with taking autonomy in that situation. And thanks to you, Levi, you got this episode up to 50 minutes. So
I can get it to an hour if you want.
That's all right.
I was just saying you helped us clear that final hurdle. So thank you.
I do have to say one more thing.
Yes, please.
It relates to Yasuo, who I freaked out about. So Yasuo, AD mid laner. I don't know how they're gonna do it in the mobile and console versions, but he has a passive. Okay. He actually has 2 passives and bundled into one. Passive is you pick a champion, and because you're that champion, this happens, right? Just automatically. You don't have to press a button or anything. He gets double crit chance, right? So if you build an item and it has a 25% chance to critically hit, which means you do 200% AD damage, he has 50%. So he only has to build 2 crit items to do 100% crit. So that's his first part. And then he gets a shield for living, which is basically like the passive of another champion, Malphite.
Yeah.
So he has 2 passives into one. And if you're going on the League of Legends webpage for Wild Rift, they say something about like landing a pixel perfect wind wall. So wind walls block any sort of projectile, kind of like Brahm's shield. It's not pixel perfect at all. Don't let them freaking fool you. It's one of the most glitchy abilities in the history of the game. At least on PC version. So just keep in mind the ones hyping it up are the creators, so obviously they're gonna have some bias.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. I mean, if you want to be hated, go play Yasuo. Yeah, once it comes out on mobile and console.
If you want people to not like you, this is how you can do it.
A Yasuo is bad unless they have the maximum amount of mastery. That is my unofficial role, and it has served me well.
Okay.
So, but no, I'm just joshing with you. I don't care who you play. I play Teemo, so
I'm here for it. Thank you, Levi.
You're welcome.
You have done us a very important service with bringing us up to speed, because this is out of our wheelhouse, and the more we can cover, the better. With that, where can the lovely people find you, Levi?
Me. They can find me on Twitter at Levi_bomb. And that's it.
Travis, where can the lovely people find you?
Twitter, Instagram, Travis Political.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. Stop giggling, you're going to give it away.
Jared, why does he still have ducks on?
I never wanted to take the ducks out.
The ducks don't deserve that fate.
They're okay. He's protecting the ducks.
I don't know that he's protecting the ducks, Jared.
He's like the mama.
Maybe he's starting a duck cult.
Oh my god, Cookie Cop and the Duck Cult.
That's
Cop's
a band.
Duck Cult.
That's a band. Cookie Cop and the Duck Cult. Hold on.
That's the best name since King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
You're goddamn right.
No, Cookie Cop and the Duck Cult will be like the blood enemies of Mike and the Children of the Dragon, or the Acolytes of the Dragon.
Acolytes of the Eye.
Yeah. But you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And to consummate this first episode of TNAP back in house.
Consummate.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar.
There we are. Thank you, buddy. Oh, and we got the Stone Cookie Cop's eyes. He looks like he has been hanging out with Snoop Dogg now. Because those lifeless eyes get stuck whenever you turn them on. That was a fun double entendre. Anyway, you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, depending on Joel if uploads them on there. You can. It's okay.
He works hard.
Yeah.
He works very hard
right
really
now.
hard.
He works very hard. He is working hard right now. That was the English language, and he also rigged the Star Wars Trivial Pursuit match we did on Knights of the Nerd Republic this week. So go listen to that and listen to Joel cheat and affect the outcome of the match.
Is this true?
I wasn't.
I have a feeling he might just be salty.
A little bit. I don't know who won. I assume you lost.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I kind of do.
No, you don't.
I think Spencer
You don't
might
know
have
that.
I
won.
think Spencer might have won again.
Oh, dicks. I had nobody in these streets. Nobody in these
You're
streets.
lucky I forgot the hot sauce.
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
Spoilers.
We got him.
Ooh. Coward confirmed.
Coward. No.
Y'all are just lucky I ain't been on these Trivial Pursuit.
I would smoke all of you. No, here's the shit. Here's the bullshit with Spencer in these Trivial Pursuit matches. I forget answers to really stupid questions, like how many banthas did Luke see in his macro binoculars when he got attacked by Tusken Raiders?
Who cares?
But like Spencer got we got the one question of what's the name of the guy who pilots Queen Amidala's Naboo, the Nubian.
Yeah.
Now Spencer couldn't pull Rick O'Lee. But I couldn't remember that there's two banthas. And that's why I lose. Is because there's more like stupid things that I forget to make room for like deep cuts.
What color?
You don't even know with the amount of times you made what color jokes. But yeah, when you guys are on the website, if you're feeling generous, chuck in a couple bucks to the Nerd Academy. Help us keep the lights on around here, and every donation is greatly appreciated. Speaking of patrons, big thank you to the Waffle Wizard and Kason Breon, our $10 patrons, helping us keep things going around these parts. We love you very much, and we appreciate your support. And
I know them.
Yes, you do know them. They are all lovely people. Thank you all so much for listening. Class dismissed. Your homework is to play League of Legends and Black Lives Matter.